my young artists. So today I just want to give you some tips on how to color with markers. I know you love markers. They're so nice and bright, but they're not always the best for coloring. My recommendation is I like to usually have a picture before I color. So for this case, I'll make a big ol' heart, which if you want to practice your heart making, you can too. But what I really want to show you once again is markers. So in the art room, I've got markers that are just by themselves, but most time you'll probably be using markers that are already in a package like this. So if you are using a marker and it's in here, you are just going to select the color that you want, grab it, hold on to the tape part, and pull it out. Leave the lid taped in there, and that way you will know where it gets returned to. How many markers should you use at a time? The answer is 1. So I have 1 marker missing, and when I'm done with this one, I will return it before I get another one. Markers have 2 ways to draw. You can use the very, very edge, and you can make skinny mini lines. Those are great for details like faces. Or you can use the flat edge by tilting the marker, and you can make a thick line. That's called the chisel tip. So I like to use the chisel tip a lot. When I color a shape, just like when we paint a shape, you are going to trace the outside edge. Again, I like to use the chisel tip. And you can color it in, but you don't want to be sloppy and go really quick. The best way to color it in is going back and forth using, once again, that chisel tip. The chisel tip takes some practice to use, but I'm not going to leave any white spaces, and I can color pretty fast by just using that nice thick edge. All right. So when you want to return the marker, make sure that it's not just resting like that. It's got a little bit of airspace, but you want to hear the click. Let's listen for it. Did you hear it? Yep, those markers are going to be safe and sound. I want to go ahead and use this freestanding marker. So when you take the cap off, I just pulled it off. I don't just leave it on the table. It can get lost. It's got a little resting spot on the back end of the marker, and I could just snap it on. So once again, I can use the skinny mini edge, or I could change and I could use the chisel tip. So trace the shape that you want to color. Use the chisel tip and try to color it in using nice lines. Thank you again for your patience as we care for our markers. When we return markers to their home in the art room, markers always go upside down. It helps keep their ink towards the tip of the marker, and it prevents them from drying out. If a marker is dried out, should we use that marker? No, you don't want to use dried out markers. I have a home for dried out markers that I like to use, and we can put them in that home for dried out markers. And I actually turn dried out markers into paint. So let me show you one more thing. You can even, on top of markers with dark colors, not with light colors like yellow, with dark colors, I'm going to use the very edge, not the chisel tip, and I can make patterns on top of me drawing. Gosh, this reminds me of a ladybug. So those are just some things that you can do to care for your markers. I need to make sure I hear that click. Do you hear it? And again, when we return our markers, they will go upside down, and it helps keep them fresh for others later. All right, everybody, happy arting today.